The day of the Lord. Blow a trumpet in Zion, sound an alarm on my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord is coming, it is near. A day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Like blackness there is spread upon the mountains a great and powerful people, their like has never been before, nor will be again after them through the years of all generations. Fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is like the Garden of Eden before them, but behind them a desolate wilderness, and nothing escapes them. Their appearance is like the appearance of horses, and like war horses they run. As with the rumbling of chariots, they leap on the tops of the mountains, like the crackling of a flame of fire devouring the stubble, like a powerful army drawn up for battle. Before them peoples are in anguish, all faces grow pale. Like warriors they charge, like soldiers they scale the wall. They march each on his way, they do not swerve from their paths. They do not jostle one another, each marches in his path, they burst through the weapons, and are not halted. They leap upon the city, they run upon the walls, they climb up into the houses, they enter through the windows like a thief. The earth quakes before them, the heavens trembled. The sun and the moon are darkened, and the stars withdraw their shining. What do we see here? The Muslim army will attack Israel. Is that the World War III or a current war of Hamas against Israel? Will Muslims attack Israel after Israel will destroy soon the underground tunnels of Hamas in Gaza? Will Iran send tanks to Israel as we see in this description? Or these tanks will belong to Egypt, Jordan, and Turkey? Will Palestine win this war? Let's see. Jews, return to the Lord. Yet even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting, with weeping, and with mourning, and rend your hearts and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love, and he relents over disaster. Who knows whether he will not turn and relent, and leave a blessing behind him, a grain offering and a drink offering for the Lord your God. Blow the trumpet in Zion, consecrate a fast, call a solemn assembly, gather the people. Consecrate the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, even nursing infants. Let the bridegroom leave his room, and the bride her chamber. Between the vestibule and the altar let the priests, the ministers of the Lord, weep and say, spare your people, Israeli Jews, O Lord, and make not your heritage a reproach, a byword among the nations. Why should they say among the peoples, where is their God? The Lord protects Jews. Then the Lord became jealous for his land and had pity on his people, Jews. The Lord answered and said to his people, behold, I am sending to you grain, wine, and oil, and you will be satisfied, and I will no more make you a reproach among the nations. I will remove the northerner far from you, and drive him into a parched and desolate land, his vanguard into the eastern sea, and his rear guard into the western sea. The stench and foul smell of him will rise, for he has done great things. What do we see here? A person who is called by God the northerner will be removed from Israel. Israel is bordered by Lebanon to the north, Syria, and Jordan. Does it mean that Hezbollah will attack Israel too? Of course. The Lord utters his voice before his army, for his camp is exceedingly great. He who executes his word is powerful. For the day of the Lord is great and very awesome, who can endure it? And my people shall never again be put to shame. You shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and there is none else. And my people shall never again be put to shame. Behold, a day is coming for the Lord, when the spoil taken from you will be divided in your midst. For I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses plundered, and the women raped. Half of the city shall go out into exile, but the rest of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations, as when he fights on a day of battle. On that day his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives that lies before Jerusalem on the east, and the Mount of Olives shall be split in two from east to west by a very wide valley, so that one half of the mount shall move northward, and the other half southward. On that day there shall be no light, cold, or frost. And there shall be a unique day, which is known to the Lord, neither day nor night, but at evening time there shall be light. And I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun shall be turned to darkness, and the moon to blood, before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. And it shall come to pass that everyone who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there shall be those who escape, as the Lord has said, and among the survivors shall be those whom the Lord calls. What do we see here? Smoke that there will be no sunlight visible. Why? This is an explosion. A nuclear explosion? I am sure that yes. And this shall be the plague with which the Lord will strike all the peoples that wage war against Jerusalem. Their flesh will dissolve while they are still standing on their feet, their eyes will dissolve in their sockets, and their tongues will dissolve in their mouths. Then everyone who survives of all the nations that have come against Jerusalem shall go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Booths. And the Lord will be king over all the earth. On that day the Lord will be one and his name one. What do we see here? There will be no Islam anymore. All will learn to worship the King who will land on the Mount of Olives in Israel with his army of fighters, angels, and saints. And if any of the families of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, there will be no rain on them. So when will happen this event called the Day of the Lord? That will happen during the return of the Son of God to our planet, or during the Third World War of Muslims and Iran against Israel,